So, yeah, so I'm definitely an immigrant child, which, a lot of issues these days about that. But, and actually, one other quick aside. So when I was born in 1962, my parents were at the hospital, and they gave me the name Lazarus, which was my Greek grandfather. In Greece, as much of Europe, you name the first son after the paternal grandfather. But they wanted to Americanize it because back in those days, there was prejudice against immigrants. Obviously, that's all changed now, but back then, so they called me Larry to try and sort of Americanize the name. So for 60 years, my name was Larry legally. And then finally, I said at age 6, you know what? I'm going to change it to my given name legally, Lazarus, which is now on my passport and birth certificate or driver's license and everything. So I came back to my roots, and I feel like, that's who I wanted to be anyway. I hated the name early, and then I came to love it, and now I still love it. So that's why I have Larry and Lazarus. The books are all under Larry, but the memoir will be Lazarus.
Lazarus.
Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness.
Shout out to my sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, so why not optimize it? Just text OPTIMIZE to 72000, 72000 for instant access to 6 quick videos that help you think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer. A big thanks to Epic App, the 4-step storytelling system I use every day to connect and to convert. Try it free. Email me at stever1961@gmail.com. That's stevr1961@gmail.com, and I'll get you the free app. Doing Business with a Servant's Heart was just named top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. If you don't know who I am, now you do. Guess what? You're going to get to know me, but more importantly, you're going to get to know this guest. Oh, my gosh. I think I've spent 5 minutes with him, and we just connected. Shouldn't we be doing this in the world more often? Let's meet people and see if we can. If you don't connect, you just walk away shaking hands and you meet somebody else. Let's connect. Here's our gratitude for today's show. You're awesome. Always remember that. You are awesome. You wake up this morning, you're awesome. You wake up tomorrow, you're going to be awesome. And you are awesome. Be amazed by that.
It's funny you say that, Steve. I have this sign.
Go ahead, Les.
I have this sign. Can you read that? Or is it out of?
Go a little closer.
Closer.
Be awesome.
Today.
Be awesome. Look at that.
Yeah, I have that as a reminder in my office.
Well, let's welcome our guest, Laz. Welcome to the show. Before we forget. See, this is what I'm talking about, connecting with people. It's not everybody, but when you connect with people, run with it like a runaway train and just both of you jump on and see where it takes us. Well, let's jump in. You wrote a book. I don't usually start with a book, but you took your book, you've written 4, and you really want to help young entrepreneurs. Tell us how you want to do that.
So I happen to be in commercial insurance 36 years, even though I look so young. I know it's hard to believe, but trust me. And also, I'm not George Clooney. A lot of people make that mistake, but I'm not him under a pseudonym. But insurance has a bad rep in the business community, especially among younger people in college and high school. Nobody aspires to go into insurance unless their father's a broker or their cousin is in the industry, whatever. So it's been a very good industry to me and many of my friends. And I felt like, let me write this book of interesting and fun and some valuable lessons that people, young people can read it and say, hey, you know what? Insurance is a pretty cool area. Maybe I'll consider going in there. And many of the stories are fungible, even though I'm in the insurance industry. Some of them are about, work dinners or golf outings or things that bankers, stockbrokers, a lot of different industries do these things. So my aim was to entertain, but also to enlighten with this book.
These things that you mentioned, these stories, what's the reader going to get the benefits for their business from reading the book?
I think there's going to be some insights that they may not have thought about. One of my recurring things, I've done a lot of training in my 36 years for younger people, underwriting and claims in different areas of insurance. And one of my recurring themes is, even though we all have some degree of common sense, sometimes it's worthwhile to hear the lesson stated again, even though you sort of knew it, it brings it to the forefront of your consciousness. So I think some of the lessons in my book, and by the way, the name of it is Laughs and Lessons, Stories from an Insurance Career. So some of those lessons, people may say, I sort of knew that, but it's good to hear it again and reinforce that I should be more focused on doing that or be cognizant of that. So that's also, I think, a big benefit of the book to those who are so inclined.
Mention humor. It's in the title of your book. I don't think people have enough fun in business. You've had 35 years of intense. You work with a big company, so the stress level was there. How do you see humor being part of somebody's company that's listening?
Well, one of the ways I've used humor, and it can ease tension, especially in stressful meetings. And when you're just meeting someone, if you crack a joke or say something funny, it can loosen things up right off the bat. And people generally tend to like humor. I mean, you'll run into people sometimes who will say, "This is not a laughing matter. You shouldn't say that." And that happens. You never know what you're going to get. But one of my things, and I've put a few in the book that I've been known for, is April Fool's Day is one of my favorite holidays. So most of my career, I've been senior management role where I was able to write an email to the entire division or group of, fair number of people, where I make things up that are sort of preposterous, but close enough that people might believe it. And I can't tell you, to this day, people say to me, "Remember that memo you wrote 20 years ago on April Fool's? I still think of that. That was so funny, blah, blah, blah." So a few of those are in the book. And whenever you do that, at first, some people get upset, but then they realize later, hey, he's bringing some humor to the workplace. That's a fun thing. One of them, I'll tell you just a nutshell. I wrote a note. I was a new president of a division of an insurance company, and I wrote an April Fool's memo to everybody, like 300 people, stating that we were having HVAC work done for next 9 months, and the temperature in the office was going to be in the 90s. And make sure you dress lightly, and you can wear tank tops, but not NBA logo tank tops. I made up all these like ridiculous things. Bring peppermint patties; they're cooling, And so I had my assistant send it out. I walked into a colleague's office. This guy was older at the time, and he goes, "Larry, did you read this email? Oh my God, I'm gonna have a heart attack. It's too high. It's gonna be too high." I said, "Whoa, Buck, slow down, buddy. It was a joke." And so he didn't take it that well, but I laughed even more. But anyway.
Well, let's break that down though, because you're president of 300 people, a big company where people are afraid to be humble, be transparent. You're completely transparent. And this gentleman, he still worked with you. He didn't quit or you didn't fire, he didn't walk away because of that. He was taken back, but the ultimate goal was this humor brought fun into your business.
Yes. And after he calmed down, he laughed about it, and many other people laughed. Some caught on because of some ridiculous thing I put in there, but others did not. And they were talking to their cubicle mates, "Hey, do you see this? It's going to be really hot in here for next time." And one thing, by the way, Steve, that was an unintended side effect. I did not know this, but the previous year before I got there, they actually did have HVAC problems. And so everybody sort of believed it because, oh, again? And I didn't know that when I wrote. It was just a happenstance.
Oh, that perfect timing in humor in comedy where you just nailed it. I love that, because the audience, a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, they need to hear that. Yeah, there's going to be serious time, plenty of time. You have to let somebody go. Numbers aren't good, whatever that is. But you bring humor and fun, it's going to really take the stress level down, doesn't it?
Yes. One story, and I know we have limited time. One story I want to mention that I think fits in perfectly with your philosophy. So I worked at AIG, big international insurance company in New York, and in the late 90s, early 2000s. And AIG owned a very prestigious golf course up in Westchester County, New York, called Moorfar. And everybody wanted to play it. It was very exclusive. There was only like 16 foursomes a day. It was a beautiful course, very quiet, fun. So there were hundreds of divisions at AIG New York at the time, and each division got 3 or 4 tee times for the entire golf season. And as an underwriting manager, we would invite our clients or brokers out to golf, And invariably, you could call anybody who was a golfer and say, "You want to play more for?" Yes, I'll cancel my meetings. I'll be there. I want to play. So, this is a story in the book. One season, one summer, I think it was the year 2000. My division, I was in the financial institutions group. So we wrote insurance for banks and insurance companies, broker deals. We got 22 tee times. Every other division got 3 or 4. And there was a secret to how we got 22. And it got to the point where it was almost embarrassing, where it would be like in the lobby of the building going out to golf, and people say, "Wait a minute, weren't you just at Morfar last week? How do you guys get all these tee times?" And of course, I've never divulged my secret, but we really had a banner year at Morfar. So here's how it came about. It's very simple and sort of obvious, but a lot of people wouldn't think of it. So the guy who ran Morfar at the time, a guy named Al Silverman, a great guy, passed away, rest in peace. But he was the one who coordinated all the tee times and ran the thing. And Morfar, like any other part of AIG, was a profit center. So they wanted the tee times filled so they could charge back to the different divisions that were golfing so they could show a profit as a golf course. So they didn't want unused tee times. So Al's secretary, Lois, who I never met, but she's a very nice woman. I spoke to her on the phone. One day she called me. She maintained a cancellation list. If somebody canceled the tee time, Morfar was going to lose money. So they wanted to fill it with some other foursome. So she would call around to the company and say, "Hey, you want this tee time tomorrow?" "Yeah, sure, we'll take it." So she kept rotating through the list. And one time early in the year in 2000, I was at the top of the cancellation list. So she calls me and says, "Larry, we have a tee time tomorrow. Do you want to take it?" I said, "Yes, absolutely. We'll get it." So we filled it. And what happened was the next day when I got back to the office, I went to the Duane Reade drugstore down the street in Lower Manhattan, and I bought a 1-pound bag of M&Ms. And I interofficed it to Lois, who I had never met. And I said, "Lois, thank you very much for the tea time. We really had a great outing. It was good for the company. And here's a little token of my esteem." About 3 days later, Lois calls me again. "Larry, would you like another tea time? We had a cancellation." I said, "Yeah, Lois, awesome." So about 3 or 4 in a row, in 3 weeks in a row, finally I said, "Lois, this is awesome." And by the way, I sent her that 1-pound bag every single time. I didn't play all 22 myself, but if someone that worked for me played, I would still send it to her. And she said, "Larry, you're the only one who's ever thanked me or given me any gift for being on the cancellation list. So I put you at the very top and I keep you up there every time I'm asking you before anybody else." And that's how we got 22 teams. Just be nice to everybody, including, the little people, the assistants, executive assistants, and people janitor, who you think like, "Oh, they can't really help me." That's irrelevant. Just be nice to everybody. It's a good life lesson, but it certainly pays off in the business world too.
You just sold the book to me, so I'm going to buy it, because that's the thing, Laz, is people that are higher level, and let's help the people, the janitor, the admin, the people that are grinding for you to do. Okay, say it cost you $20. Let's just use that number. What did they do? What did you get in return? But more so, what did you do the impact with her?
Right.
And
that's, it made her day. It made her day.
And you didn't do the M&Ms, audience. I want you to know, he didn't do the M&Ms to get more tea times.
No,
he just genuinely thanking them.
Right.
That's
I had
important.
no idea that. Who would think a 1-pound bag of M&Ms would lead to a very prestigious tea time? You wouldn't think it would be a quid pro quo, but apparently it was.
Yep. Because you don't know the shoes that people are walking in. She was walking in being not, what's the word I want to use? Recognized. And you made her recognized.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Well, let's dive into the servant's. Go ahead. You're going to say something?
I have one more story that this one's a little more humorous.
Fire away.
This one's a little more humorous. And this is the lesson of be humble, right? And don't tout yourself or blow your own horn so much. So I was golfing with my boss at the time, and I used his name in the book. He's retired now. And he said, "Oh, you're still telling that old story? I don't care. Use my book." So use my name. His name's Bob O'Main. Very good guy. Great guy. So we were golfing in Bermuda with some insurance brokers that we dealt with. And in the middle of the round, our assistant who we shared, Sandy, calls him on the cell phone and says, "Bob, a guy from the Wall Street Journal called for you." And Bob was on the cutting edge of a very new insurance product that was sort of accounting and financial range. It wasn't traditional insurance. It's very cutting, but it was very lucrative for AIG. But it was controversial also because there were questions of whether it met regulatory standards. There's a lot of stuff going on. So Sandy says to him, a guy from the Wall Street Journal called. He goes, well, I'm not calling him back until Joe in corporate communications calls him, pre-screen the questions. I want to think about them. I don't want to say the wrong thing. And the CEO gets mad at me. I get fired, so make sure we pre-screen the questions and then call me back and let me know what they are so I can think. So he hangs up the cell phone. For the next 40 minutes, everybody he sees on the golf course, I may have to take a call from the Wall Street Journal. They're going to be calling me. I may have to walk off the course. I'm sorry, he's telling the caddies. Everybody can find how the Wall Street Journal's calling me. So important, this and that. Finally, after 40 minutes, Sandy calls back. She says, Bob, Joe in corporate communications called the Wall Street Journal guy. Okay, all right. What were the questions? The guy said your subscription expires next week. Now I have to give Bob credit. He did laugh. He laughed, and so did everybody else. We laughed. But
that's a great story. Being humble. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to dive into the servant's heart.
Sure.
You do something with your book, and I'll do when I write my book. Is you're donating all the proceeds to a gentleman. Tell us that story and why you're doing that.
Yeah. So a good friend of mine in the industry. My wife and I are good friends with him and his wife and their son, who's a great guy. And I knew not all that well, but I had been to dinner with him a few times, and he's a great kid, 37 years old. He was on a business trip. He was in insurance. He was a cyber insurance specialist, insurance, for cyber risk. And he was in San Francisco on a business trip. And through a tragic turn of events, he was shot and killed on this business trip, murdered. And the guy who did it was on the run for a year and a half. They finally arrested him, but it was a very sad story. I was in the middle of writing my book when it occurred. And I said, you know what? I'm going to dedicate the book to Ryan. His name Ryan Pincus, and all the proceeds go to the Ryan Pincus Memorial Foundation, which gives scholarships to kids at his old high school. He was a star wrestler in high school. And it does some other things as well, helps kids out. So I said, this is my way of remembering. And actually the cover photo was taken 6 months before Ryan was killed. It was me, Ryan, and a friend of mine from law school at a restaurant in LA. And it was a great photo. We were all smiling and having fun. And little did we know in 6 months, Ryan would be killed. But that's the cover photo. And then there's pictures of Ryan inside the book and information about the Memorial Foundation. But so in my view, if anybody reads the book and likes it or whatever, just the fact that they're buying it, I want to contribute that to Ryan's memory and the good works that his foundation does. If I'm lucky enough to be able to write well enough that people want to read a book, I'm happy to donate those funds to his cause. So I don't keep a nickel of the money. It all goes to the foundation.
Yeah, audience, we're going to run a train here. I mentioned that earlier with Laz before. I'm going to donate $100 after this show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
The first 5 people
this link to his parents so they can see the interview.
Yeah, and absolutely. But the first 5 people that donate $20 or more to the foundation, I'm going to send you Larry's book. Laz's book. Nice. I call him Larry. So five people.
Larry
yeah. He's my new friend. I'm loving this guy. Guy's unbelievable. We can say love between 2 guys. I say it all the time. It's okay. But reach out to Laz or me that you bought the book. Kind of shows that you bought the book. I don't make this too difficult, but my point is we need to help. And he doesn't need $2,000, $20,000, $200. If it's 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever it is, donate it. I will get you the book because I'm getting the book. And if you miss out on this book, I'm just going to laugh my butt off. If that's all I got out of it, check box. So I wanted to share that. But I do want to ask you this. A lot of authors have been on my show. What was the genesis of you donating to his foundation with all proceeds? Was it once you heard it right away? Tell me that journey.
I think now, Steve, and I got to think back, I may have decided to donate the book or dedicate the book to Ryan and donate the money, I think even before the foundation was set up. But I knew there would be a way to do something in Ryan's name. And luckily his parents set up this foundation, which has been very successful. A bunch of people are donating, which is great. And originally was going to give scholarships to high school kids. Now it's done. It's going even beyond that and helped out underprivileged people. So it was just, in my view, and I've written 4 insurance books I mentioned to you earlier before we got on the air. 2 of them were read and praised by Warren Buffett, but they're about insurance, more technical aspects. This is a more universal. This last book is anybody can read it and laugh. There's funny things in it. But all my books, most of the money, if not 100%, goes to charities. And I'm happy to do it. It's my way, like, as you say, servant's heart. If people want to read my writing, I'm happy to donate that money to worthy causes.
True definition of a servant's heart right here in business. And here's the crazy thing, guys. Lazarus is successful. He's not homeless out on the street living under a cardboard. And I say that with a little laughter, but I want you to think about that. We can do it. Do as much as you can. Like I said, if it's $10 you donate or $1,000, whatever it is, we need it all help together. You know, coming to the end here, you mentioned Warren Buffett. Getting exposure like that's huge. How did it make you feel when Warren Buffett praised your books?
It was unbelievable. And I'll tell you, I sent it to him. One of the lessons, sometimes I give presentations about writing 4 books and what it takes and lessons I've learned. I've learned a bunch of lessons, but one of them was when the first book was published in November of 2008, I sent it to Warren Buffett. I didn't know him. I just sent it out of the blue. He was in the industry sort of too, insurance with Geico and other things. And a week after he got it, and keep in mind, he's extremely rich. He's on CNBC all the time, you know, very in demand. A week after he got it, his secretary at the time, Deb Bosanek, who sat with President Obama at the State of the Union a few years later, called me on my cell phone and said, Larry, Mr. Buffett got your book, but he's too busy to read it, but he appreciates you sending it. And I was shocked. I'm like, that's really nice that you would even call me. Most people would just throw it in the garbage. That'd be the end of it. But I said, thank you very much. So I hung up, not being as humble as I should be. I was on vacation in Florida with my sister and some of her friends. And I'm like, Warren Buffett's assistant, just call me. I was like bragging about it. So I sort of forgot about it. 6 months later, after July 4th, 2009, the next morning, Tuesday, I opened my email and it says from Warren Buffett. And I'm like, somebody's kidding around with me here, right? One of my friends. And sure enough, it was from him. And he said, Larry, I read your book over the weekend, because he reads like 500 pages a day. He's very voracious reader, and that's how he learns. He said, I really enjoyed it. Your chapter on 9/11 was particularly moving. I was downtown on 9/11, so I wrote a chapter about that. And he said, I hope my insurance managers all get a copy. It's a great book. So I wrote him back. I waited a day. I couldn't believe he wrote to me. I wrote him back. And a friend of mine, I wanted to use the quote to help sell the book, because obviously a Warren Buffett endorsement is very powerful. But I didn't want to, I didn't do it without his permission. So I wrote him back. I said, Warren, and I was going back and forth. Do I call him Mr. Buffett? Do I call him Warren? I said, well, we're both in the insurance industry. Warren, we're buddies, right? I said, would you mind if we use your quotes to help sell the book? 100% of the proceeds go to charity, as you know. And I'm going to send 10 complimentary copies to Deb, your assistant, and she can give them to whoever you want, managers. Within an hour, and he never met me, within an hour, he wrote me back. You could tell he's such a down-to-earth, great guy. He goes, Larry, I'd be delighted if you use my words. I hope every copy of the book sells out and the charities get a big check. It was astounding. And once we started advertising his endorsement, I would give speeches and there'd be 30 people and they say, we work for Berkshire Hathaway. We heard Warren liked your book, so we're all here for that. He just stepped down. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
But and then my second book, he also praised and read and let me use the quotes from that as well. So I think he's, such a down-to-earth, great guy. He really is the way he's portrayed in the media. It's not just an act.
Let's celebrate the hell out of that. Because here's why. An audience, I want you to listen to this. He did the ask without an outcome. I'm going to ask Warren, send this to him. People don't do this enough. They're afraid, Warren's not going to read it. If he didn't read it, if he didn't acknowledge, you move on with your life and meet other people. But if you don't take action, this is what the result can be.
Steve, it's funny you say that, because that's one of the lessons when I speak about my writing. I say there's a Zen saying, I'm sure you've heard it, leap and the net shall appear. And that's sort of what I did. I took a leap, and then Warren gave me the net and, helped me out. So yeah, take gambles, just try it, go for it.
Leap and the net will appear.
Yeah.
That's why I love doing podcasts, because I'm going to share that with a bunch of people, because it's true. I think a lot of people are fearful, scared, all that. I can't do that. Again, what's the worst thing that's going to happen to you? Nothing. And you move on.
Right.
Cost you maybe a book or whatever, minimal to what you do. Well, we ran a little bit overtime, and I'm glad we did, because this has been absolutely incredible. I've done over 900 shows, top notch right here. I'm going to tell you. I get you because you're so humble and transparent, but I want to get to know you just a little bit better. You're going to love this. We're going to improv. So
Okay.
you're going to tell me your favorite restaurant where you live. You live in Manhattan?
No, I live at the Jersey Shore, about
Jersey
60
Shore.
miles
Okay.
south of Manhattan. Yep.
Perfect. Jersey Shore, your favorite restaurant. I'm going to reserve a table so me and you can sit down and eat. But I also want you to invite 3 people, whether dead or alive, who've been influential in your life. I think I might pick one of them. But more importantly, for me especially, what food are you ordering for the table?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, probably my favorite's an Italian restaurant. And my wife would be certainly one of the 3 guests.
Well,
And
we'll
I'll tell you,
include your wife. No, what family is, they get an extra chair.
well, I'll tell you an interesting quick side note. This is a little bit of a plug. I have written my first non-insurance book, and I'm going to a professional editor now. And it's a memoir about dating my wife in college. She dumped me on New Year's Eve, 1985, and we got married 26 years later. And I had never been married in the interim, never, no kids or anything. And it's, I think, a very interesting story. I call it Eat, Pray, Love from a man's perspective. And that's going to be out hopefully within the year. It's written, but I'm rewriting. And that's very funny, but it's got some lessons on dating. Like, why I got married for the first time at age 48. Why would a guy wait to be 48-year-old before he finally pulls the trigger and gets married? So anyway, that memoir we'll talk. It's called Bachelorhood Interrupted. And so my wife would be there. Probably one of my law firm mentors who has passed away, unfortunately, but he sort of showed me the ropes of the law and also the insurance a little bit. And then I went over to work for insurance companies. And then my parents, probably the other 2, because they are both deceased also, but they both taught me a lot of life lessons that have stuck with me for a long time.
What's your wife's name?
Ilona, Ilona.
Ilona, and your parents' names?
Anthony and Anne, Anne. My dad was a Greek immigrant from a small Greek island, and that's who I named my business after, because someday I'd like to spend my summers in Greece. My mother's parents were Irish immigrants who came over in the 1930s, and my grandfather worked for Con Ed in New York, the electric utility. So, so I'm definitely an immigrant child, which, a lot of issues these days about that. But, and actually, one other quick aside. So when I was born in 1962, my parents were at the hospital, and they gave me the name Lazarus, which was my Greek grandfather. In Greece, as much of Europe, you name the first son after the paternal grandfather. But they wanted to Americanize it because back in those days, there was prejudice against immigrants. Obviously, that's all changed now, but back then, so they called me Larry to try and sort of Americanize the name. So for 60 years, my name was Larry legally. And then finally, I said at age 6, you know what? I'm going to change it to my given name legally, Lazarus, which is now on my passport and birth certificate or driver's license and everything. So I came back to my roots, and I feel like, that's who I wanted to be anyway. I hated the name early, and then I came to love it, and now I still love it. So that's why I have Larry and Lazarus. The books are all under Larry, but the memoir will be Lazarus.
Lazarus, yeah. Well, shout out to Anthony and Anne. You did a great job parenting this guy, because he's definitely got the servant sense. Ilona, enjoy this guy and your partnership forever, as long as it lasts. It's beautiful. Thanks for being incredible. This was fantastic show. I know people want to reach out. How can they find you, or the book too?
Out of my 4 books, only Laughs and Lessons is available in print. The others are out of print, but that's on Amazon.com. And I have an author's page on Facebook, Lazarus Goanos, as my name appears on screen. And that's for my memoir, which is going to be funny. I think it's going to be a great book. I have in my mind, I'm already planning my Today Show interview, what I'm going to say when they're asking me about it.
Of course, you end with a servant's heart. Audience, see what he just did there? He's visionary. Think the vision. Is it ever happened? Maybe, maybe not. Nobody takes money away from you for thinking and dreaming and wishing. Nobody takes that away from you. Beautiful. Well, thank you again, Larry. Larry, I'm going to call you Laz because I think you're my new friend. Again, remember, first 5 people that donate, I'm going to get sending his book for free at no cost. And I'll tell you what, the first 5 people to donate and the first 5 people that just reach out to Larry, which I want you to do to talk about the book or just say something about the podcast. So 5 people that reach out to Larry, I'm going to send you his book, and 5 people that donate. And if you know what, if you donate and reach out, I'm going to send you 2 books. Wow. So let's do that. Let's share this. Let's get this foundation going. Again, I'm going to donate $100. I'm putting my actions where my mouth is. I hope all of you do that if you're able to do that financially to donate. With that being said, subscribe to our YouTube channel or any others, because you know what? This link here, this podcast Larry just did, is wonderful. Why? Because you're going to make somebody smile. And if you impact people that way, that's why I love podcasting, because we can make a difference, like Larry's doing with Ryan's foundation and the books and things like that. With that being said, me and Laz want to thank everybody for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.